Hello and welcome to Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. I'm Becky Parker Geist and I'm your host. Audiobook Connection is your place to learn about the audiobook creative process and for authors to learn valuable tips on producing and marketing your audiobooks. This podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today, I'm going to talk about building your following within the author community. As you are probably very aware, if you're an author yourself, you are also typically a reader. Or if audio is your favored format, then you are an audiobook listener. So one way to build that following in the author community is to look for other authors who are working in a similar genre or the same genre, but have a similar target audience. So you may think of these people as competitors, but in fact, they can be your very greatest allies. And together, you have a greater way of building a larger following. Typically, somebody who is an avid reader or listener, once they complete listening to one book, then they're looking for their next listen. If you can help them find that next listen, and that author of that related content is also doing the same back for you, then you're both better satisfying your audience, and you're providing additional benefit for them, and then you're also helping each other out. Because really, I don't know of any author who can churn out great material as fast as their followers want to hear it or to read it, if we're talking about print or ebook editions. So I want to encourage you to look for other authors in your genre that may be interested in developing a kind of alliance, a kind of shared audience partnership, a collaborative spirit, building your tribe. One way to do this is to go to Audiobook Authors on YouTube and look for other authors, because there is a range of authors right in that channel. You can also search on YouTube just for audiobook trailers in your preferred genre. Once you find those, then I want to encourage you first to watch the video and then share the video if you feel it is an appropriate fit for your audience. You can also, and I highly recommend that you also comment so that you're starting to develop some communication with that other author. And this is really good. It's helping them, right? And so that kind of back and forth, then you can start to develop more of a conversation with them. I would encourage you to find their website. They should have it listed in their description. If they don't, you might want to look for another author that is maybe doing a better job of promoting their books, their audiobooks, and try to connect. Look for people who are open to building connections. Another thing you might look for is whether they're already sharing the works of other authors. That's a good sign that they may be open to that kind of relationship and building that with you. And think from that giving side of things. How can you help them? Start there, because that is the very best way to open with a generous spirit, and then most often people are very happy to reciprocate as they are able. Now, I suggested YouTube as one place to look, and it's a good place for starters, but you can also look within whatever social media platforms aside from YouTube that you may be active on. I wouldn't worry about trying to go to platforms where you're not active, because the greatest benefit is going to be when you're active on a platform and the other author is as well. Why? Not only is it easier for you, but that's where your followers are, right? So we're looking for those kinds of shared relationships where you can build that community. I would also encourage you to reach out to those authors to ask how you might be helpful. Do they have any launches coming up? I know this may sound like, oh my gosh, I've got so much on my plate already. I don't need to be trying to promote my competition. Again, I don't want you to think about it in that way because they're really not. They are really an opportunity for building your audience while helping another author, and it'll give you a really good feeling. If you're a blogger, another thing you could do would be to just mention them in a blog post. And I would encourage you also to ask the other author to do a similar mention. If you have an event coming up, think about the people in your tribe that might be willing to share your event, your book launch. Maybe you're doing a promotional thing. If you have content, a book that is very similar, like really tightly related to somebody else's, or you feel like you just have a great relationship that you're building with that other author, you might even offer some kind of bulk deal for your followers where you buy one, and maybe on your social media, you say, buy my book and get this other book at half price, and vice versa for the other author. Those are just some different ideas for ways that you can work together with another author to do some promotional kinds of events, pricing, and even this sort of bundling that can be perceived as, and actually is, providing additional value for your followers. It will also give them an easier way to take a chance on a different author. So when you are offering yours at a significant discount, but you're doing it through a different author's platform, then that's what I'm talking about in terms of making it easy for someone to test out your material from, at a discount, but knowing already that they're attracted to your genre. It's less of a scattershot approach to finding your audience and building it. And that's all we're going to cover today. I just want to thank you for being with me. As always, if you have questions that you'd like to ask about audiobook production or marketing, we would love to hear from you. We're at proaudiovoices.com. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us for Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. Please take a moment to subscribe at audiobookconnection.com. The podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Learn more at proaudiovoices.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and please join us next week.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.